Hello everyone and welcome back to the CCA, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a breakdown of my white-green all-cat creature themed deck. Now you're probably wondering why this card right here is here. This was actually a recommendation in the comments. Thank you to WBG SCI for this recommendation for my mono black infinite mill deck. Basically this is a really awesome secondary strategy that of course encompasses putting artifacts into the graveyard and bringing them back, and of course over and over doing that, milling the deck out. Now we have this, which is Disciple of the Vault, 1 black. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may have target opponent lose 1 life. So it's kind of a secondary strategy to use in case I can't get the other one to go off, or even use them in tandem. And I got it in foil because I think these were only like 35 cents a piece. But then of course, sometimes you get these nice curves. I know, it's beautiful, love it. Kind of regret it now, but that's besides the point. So next here, we have the all cat themed white-green deck. So why is this here? This is essentially a base for all my cat tokens. And this is actually, yes, a picture of my cat. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to do that. But I'm using this again as a base for all my cat tokens just to limit board coverage overall. Because basically I built this deck in the idea that I wanted to make cat tokens, but also make those cat tokens bigger. And all my cats in general bigger. So we're going to start off with here with a Rabo, Roar of the World. 1 white, 1 green, 3 of any color. He has Eminence at the beginning of combat on your turn. If a Rabo is in the command zone or on the battlefield, another target cat you control gets +3/+3 until the end of the turn. So again, just giving that added damage there, making the cats bigger, or in this case, a cat bigger. Whenever another cat you control attacks, you may pay this cost here, that 1 white, 1 green, 1 of any color. You can, if you do, it gains trample and gets +X/+X until the end of turn, where X is its power. Next here, we have Waiting in the Weeds, 2 green, 1 of any color. Each player counts the untapped forest he or she controls and puts that many 1/1 green cat creature tokens into play. Now, of course, the only downside I kind of saw on this card was that if my opponent is running green, but at the end of the day, this deck will make me a lot more tokens than this card would benefit them at the end of the day. So it's really not that big of an issue. And again, they're 1/1, but with this deck, I'm making my 1/1s a lot bigger, and I'm gonna have a lot bigger cats than the 1/1s they would even receive. And if they're not running green at all the more benefit. Next, we have Felidar Retreat, 1 white, 3 of any color. Landfall, which I love. Landfall is an ability. Whenever land enters the battlefield under control, I get to choose 1. Either create a 2/2 white cast beach. That's kind of hard to say. Create a 2/2 white cast. Create a 2/2 white cat beast creature token. Lord, that is hard to say. Okay. Or put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, which is more of what I would go for. Unless I was really desperate for tokens. But again, it's a land-based ability, so I can do one turn, and then if I want to do the other one next turn when I drop a land, I can do that. I can just keep churning and doing that over and over again as long as I'm playing land. And they gain vigilance until the end of turn, which means they don't untap. They don't tap, period. We have, of course, an awesome card here from the Commander deck, which is where Rabo also came from. Fleecemane Lion, 1 white, 1 green. He's a 3/3, so he's a big guy for especially 2 mana. And then it has a Monstrosity 1 cost, which is 1 white, 1 green, 3 of any color. And if this creature isn't monstrous, put a +1/+1 counter on it and it becomes monstrous. As long as Fleecemane Lion is monstrous, it has hexproof and indestructible. And for anybody who knows anything about hexproof, knows that it's just an absolute god ability. So, and same thing with indestructible. So he's an insanely strong kitty. All right, we have Wild Defiance, and I also wanted to make sure that every image was a cat as well. Like, come on, it has to be. That's the way it has to be if you're gonna make a cat deck. Wild Defiance, 1 green, 2 of any color, enchantment. Whenever a creature you control becomes a target of instant or sorcery spell, that creature gets +3/+3 until the end of the turn. Now, I use this card kind of as, well, of course, going up against like burn decks was kind of more my idea with this card. Because basically I played like multiple of this card and I was playing against a burn deck and none of the spells were strong enough to kill anything I had. So I essentially just kept making them bigger. So they were just an absolute powerhouse with that additional +3/+3. So this was insanely useful against the burn deck. Here we have Pride Sovereign. This one's just awesome. So this is kind of what you'd want to have as more of a late play. And he's 1 green, 2 of any color. He gets a +1/+1 for each other cat you control, which I ended up doing in a test match with somebody, and it became like a 9/9 or like a 10/10 or something like that. It was ridiculous. And you can also pay a white, tap, exert Pride Sovereign, create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. Just a nice little added bonus. Here we have Sacred Cat. I just added this as just a simple 1/1 for 1. Just to basically, if I need to get something out on the field, this is an easy one to put out. So it has lifelink and embalm, which you pay 1 white, you exile it from the graveyard, and you create a token that's a copy of it, and it's a zombie cat at that point now. And it has no mana cost. But it has to embalm as in the sorcery. It doesn't function like an instant. Then you have Regal Caracal. 2 white, 3 of any color, so it's a little bit more pricey. It's a 3/3, but its added benefit is totally worth it. Other cats you control get +1/+1, so again, just making the cats bigger. And then for the ones that I guess that don't end up with lifelink, now they have lifelink. When Regal Caracal enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. So not only does it make your cats bigger, it creates more tokens, and it's a decent sized creature in itself. And the last card that we have here is Scythe Leopard. 1 green, 1/1. Again, I wanted to have a good combination of low cost, mid cost kind of cards, and this was another one of those low cost. But his ability is pretty sweet. So he costs 1 green, he's a 1/1. He has landfall as well. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, he gets a +1/+1 until the end of turn. So again, as long as I'm playing lands, like a couple of those other cards, he keeps getting the benefit. He gets +1/+1 every single time. So as long as you're consistently playing lands, he's getting bigger and bigger. So again, overall, with this deck, it's just about making as many cats as I possibly can, and then turning around and making those cats as big as possible. So I did test it out a little bit. This deck is a ton of fun. It was a little bit more on the same end as the last one I did. This one was probably about $50 or so. And sadly, I couldn't find a ton of like secondary options for some of these cards. So some of them were a little bit more pricey. And then some other cards that I wanted in it cost like $30. So, there wasn't a ton of wiggle room with this, sadly, when it comes to options. But again, around $50, $60 for the deck. So it's still of a good budget. But I hope you all enjoyed this deck breakdown. And if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you did not, give it a thumbs down and explain why you didn't enjoy the video and what you would like to maybe see in the future. And that's it. And I hope you all have a magical day.